everyone. Welcome to another episode of Nerd Variety Podcast. I am Josh Davies, and I am joined today by Hunter No Hugs Rafferty.
Hi.
Hey, man. And we're also joined by Hannah having a happy birthday, Hogan.
Yeah. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
She partied like it was her birthday.
I did. I played lots of board games and got bubble tea, and that was my birthday.
That sounds like a good birthday.
It was good. Well, and my husband brought me Marietta Diner last night, which, like, he came home with 6 takeout boxes for the two of us. They serve so much food there.
That seems excessive.
It was.
It's Marietta Diner. It's worth it.
Yeah. But strawberry cheesecake.
This whole weekend while I was at Dragon Con, I ate like once every day. And sometimes I didn't even finish my meal because it was too big. I just, I don't know if you guys are like this at conventions, but I just don't get hungry when I'm doing stuff. Especially when I'm in like this, these Spider-Man suits that are, they have like these built-in gloves and stuff. So, I feel I don't really want to eat stuff with my hands. So I try to stick to forks stuff. Oh, the last day when I was in my costume, I did go to Checkers. So I kind of had to do like a fish sandwich thing and fries. So I felt a bit bad about that, but I avoided as best I could going to the bathroom because I really just didn't feel like stripping to use the restroom in a public restroom.
Yeah.
Hey man, if you're gonna be Spider-Man, you gotta live that life. And
I guess.
What would Spider-Man do?
He would hold it.
He would hold it, for all night, or
he would wear sweatpants. He
would have a compartment in the suit.
Probably, he would probably not be ashamed of using just going right in his suit.
I haven't been to a lot of cons, but I feel like if I did go to more, I probably would only eat once a day, if that, but mostly because I already paid for the con and I would probably be out of money.
Yeah. That was pretty much me. That's also why I got no photos or autographs with anybody, except also the reasons that we talked about earlier, which I don't really want to ever pay anybody to be in a photo with them. I hate being in photos anyway, so why would I pay somebody to be in it?
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the sentimental value and can you do it? If you can't do it, then don't.
See, I don't have any sentimental value for anything.
I feel like there are people out there who are and have sort of like these heroes of people that they saw in media that like really impacted them or changed their life or inspired them. Apparently Josh is one or has one.
Yes.
Yeah, apparently.
So I can understand in that situation.
Like, I mean, to me, it's just, I can admire them, good actors for just somebody who does really good at their job.
Yeah. Well, you guys have heard how much I talk about Star Trek and how I grew up on it a ton, and I really think, it was like instrumental in terms of sci-fi television. And you said that William Shatner was there?
Yeah. I didn't actually.
If I could have gotten a picture with him, like in my mind, he's like a historical figure almost.
Or George Takei.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I feel like George Takei has. Like he went to Georgia State a couple of times while I was there, I think, while we were there. And like, I still haven't seen him. He, at this point, he just seems too accessible. It's just like.
Gotcha.
But still, if he's a kind of a figure, like if he's like a very inspirational figure for you, even as a character and as a person, then why not try to meet him and talk to him or have a little memento,
Yeah. I get it, but there's not a lot of people that I would pay $80 to be in the picture with.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It depends on the price.
Yeah, like 100%. I got to be rejected by Zachary Levi for free. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Go up, ask him, hey, so I have this podcast now. I know.
Yeah.
next. Waited like an hour for that line. It was stupid. Although again, I knew exactly what I was getting into. Like I knew there was no way it was going to be that he had time or was just going to do it. He's a busy man now.
Yeah, but you got to talk to Zachary Levi, which is great.
He also is a fantastic. He just has a great presence. Like when he was on stage, I saw him at 2 different panels. One, he was with. There was actually a moderator and Cooper Andrews, who was. I can't remember the guy's name, but the foster father in Shazam, and I know him more as Jerry from The Walking Dead. So yeah, Cooper Andrews didn't get like any time to talk at that panel. Like Zachary Levi, he gets how I can be a lot of times, which I kind of. Well, I'm fine making that comparison. Listen to the podcast because I'm exactly like Zachary Levi. I'm exactly like Levi.
Just got a lot to say, and he was the same way with at Walker Soccer Con with Kari Phaeton when they had like it was kind of like a panel, but they didn't really have. Since they didn't have their own panel, they kind of did like an interview with someone on a stage while everybody kind of crowded around and listened to him. And he talked a lot about the show and his role and going into the show and how much he loved it. And Cooper Andrews was just kind of like, yeah, hey, I'm Jerry. You know, he was chill. You know,
like, and that's what I like about him. I almost went up to his booth and asked him, but I don't know. I was more focused about doing the other thing. Also, I don't know. It was a wasted opportunity, and I kind of knew that as I was doing it. I also felt like it would have been just as pointless to try to talk to him about it, although he had like nobody in his line.
Yeah, and they're chill like that. Sean Schimmel was the same way. Like he went at his panel. He said, "I don't not doing your podcast. Sorry, it's the way it works." But you know, one of these days, you know.
So yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of good actors and stuff at Dragon Con, which is great, and it's a very relaxed. There are just a lot of very relaxed panels. It's a very nice, relaxed setting. Like I saw Carrie Elwes. I saw his panel, which was great. Talked a lot about the Princess Bride.
That would be cool. He would be something that he would be someone I might take a picture with.
Yeah, like he wasn't in the Walk of Fame when I went over there because I think I had just come from his panel, although I can't remember for sure. But yeah, like that was cool. Obviously, again, talked a lot about Princess Bride. Well, there were a lot of questions about Princess Bride. He had some good stories about like Andre the Giant and some other people I don't remember. Also, apparently he actually, and I'm totally blanking on the guy's name, Inigo Montoya. They, I guess, actually did a lot of fencing training, like in between shoots and stuff, between scenes. And then, like, while he was saying, like, while everybody else was going out, you know, kind of relaxing, drinking, having, or partying, you know, doing all sorts of stuff, like after wraps, they would be going away to do their own training stuff.
Yeah. Which is funny because, like, the man in black is, like, the perfect person to have a stuntman for. Because you, like, can't see any of him, basically. But I guess it's his own thing.
Yeah.
Own stuff.
Yeah. Well, speaking of story, like Princess Bride stories, storylines.
Smooth.
Really
I was gonna try to do that much smoother, Josh. If you
What?
It was too sharp. Anyways, continue.
Well, the topic for this week, I was going to talk about our favorite storylines in comics and manga. I guess you could consider, like, pick up a franchise, and if they have like a book series, you could pick a storyline out of that. Just your favorite ones, and usually these are the ones that get adapted into media shows.
You
I
keep
know it's
changing
not.
the parameters here.
You do.
I know it's not. It's not.
I'm
oh,
like, books? Oh, I can do books.
Yeah, you say books. I got it now.
I've read a lot of
I'm
books.
back to my original one.
Well, I was kind of assuming that would be. I thought that was implied with like, oh, we're gonna pick, comics or like a major, franchises, book series or manga. Those are the two ones that come to mind. Comics and manga, but
All right, Josh, we gotta talk about making assumptions and how. Well, you know what it does.
But this is but you just ask.
Yeah, comics and manga are not in the same realm of my brain as books.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
that is not the same.
They're in the same realm. They're in the same realm of mine, but just different on different planets.
To me, if you're including comics, manga, and books, then you're also throwing in. You might as well also throw in video games and film and television.
I wouldn't say that.
I mean, that's close enough.
I'm looking at things you read.
I read a lot of webtoons by like independent creators.
Well, according to Zachary Levi this weekend, he reads a lot of video games, it seems. Yeah, sorry, inside joke from Dragon Con. He just
has a script, you can read it.
Like he constantly kept saying, I was reading a video game. It's like, wait, no.
Could we talk about The Cursed Child? It's technically a screenplay.
You could, yeah.
But you read it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Josh. We're giving you a lot of crap here.
He deserves it.
Well, I'm hoping that you all are, could find something with that extra information. Hannah, what would you say is one of your favorite storylines out of comics, manga, or books? Or books in like, a very, I guess in a franchise, kind of like a franchise level book series. I don't know.
Wait, say that again. Comic book level franchise.
No, like franchise level, like something like if there's a franchise and they have like a book series, or a very popular that they have different book series in like a media format.
There's a couple that I've been thinking about, and we could tie them together into sort of a common type of storyline or story arc, or like you might even call it like a plot point in sort of like these large overarching stories, which is the games, right? So you've got, I feel like in most anime and manga, there's like, oh, we're gonna have a tournament, or we're gonna have a battle or whatever, and then you've got like the Triwizard Tournament in Harry Potter, which is that kind of thing. I just think it's cool because you see your favorite characters pitted up against like these brand new people that you've never seen before, and you get to learn about them and see kind of like how they mesh and where the tensions come up. But it's kind of taking the main characters that you're used to and putting them into a new situation with a bunch of new people, which I think is cool and something that you just see a lot. And they're just a lot of fun. So that would definitely be something that I enjoy seeing in stuff like that. And they tend to stretch them out a ridiculous amount in anime, but in manga they're a little bit more compact, and it's a good time. I just think about my sister and her boyfriend have been watching Dragon Ball. And I go up and join them for an episode every now and then, and I think they've been in a tournament for like 30 episodes or something.
They do a lot of tournaments, and
I don't know if it's one tournament or if it's been a lot of tournaments.
In Dragon Ball, they have 2 or 3 tournaments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z also like 2 or 3 tournaments.
Yeah.
But they're not as pronounced because they have kind of bigger threats to go off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I always tend to enjoy those. Yeah, in Dragon Ball, it definitely was more of when they had a tournament, that was the focus. Dragon Ball Z, it was a little more, you would start with a tournament and then go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, also Dragon Ball Super had a lot of tournament things.
Yeah. And like I love stories and character development and like these big emotional moments and changes in people, but sometimes it's good to just kind of get together and kick each other's butts. It's all good fun.
Yeah.
So they're always kind of a refreshing. There's like drama here and there, but mostly kind of relaxing.
Are they at Piccolo Junior yet?
Stuff. I think they're almost there.
Okay, because
I think they're almost there. They just
when I was there, when I went over, came over for D&D, they were watching. They actually just watched Goku defeat King Piccolo.
Ah.
So that was like a month or so ago, I think.
The most recent one, I don't remember.
So I was thinking they went straight from King Piccolo to Piccolo Junior Saga, but I don't remember for sure.
I know that they've run into Piccolo Jr. at this point, and I think that he'll probably be up in like the next 10 episodes or so.
Well, actually, that is a tournament saga as well, I believe, because there's also the other, like, Piccolo Jr.'s brother, I think it is, that's like a weird dragon kind of guy that has wings or something. It's been a while, so yeah.
Like I said, I've seen like every 5th or 6th episode that they've watched. I'm not really well versed in Dragon Ball right now.
Yeah. So is that your storyline, or were you just going on?
That's a big one. I mean, so the Triwizard Tournament from Harry Potter is a really good example, right? Where like, there's all this underlying drama, but like mostly you just get to, learn all this new stuff about the magical world, and you're like in the maze and you have to fight a dragon, and it's just cool to.
I don't have.
I feel like it's a good
a
good opportunity for world expansion and character introduction.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember thinking that too when I got to that one, and honestly, so I'm really slow at reading the books. Like, I'm not there yet in the books. I'm still on Chamber of Secrets. Let's see,
I finished the books 10 years ago.
See, when I was like in middle school.
No, I think book 7 didn't come out 10 years ago.
When I was in middle school or whatever, I think it was, and they were still coming out, I would read some of them. I would read a little bit of one of the books, and then like I got the furthest through Order of the Phoenix, and then the movie came out, so I'm like, well, whatever, screw the book, I'm just gonna go see the movie.
We went to the midnight release of book 7, and like we're so excited that we were like trying to read in the car with just like the occasional street light providing our light source, like just holding the book this close to our face trying to read it. Me and my siblings were very, very into them.
I got to know
what happens next.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad with I'm really bad at books, honestly. I love reading them, but I really have to focus on going and reading a book, and usually I do it at night, and I have to really make sure I'm getting to bed with enough time for me to actually read it. So often I'm like playing a game and I'm just milking it until I'm gonna actually go to bed, or I'm watching a show and I'm like, okay, but I'm gonna do this, and I can do a little bit more of this, or I can go read. Let's just do a little bit more of this, and then I don't have time. So.
Yeah, I haven't done any reading recently, but when I was in high school, I just inhaled books. Like, I think I read the entire Hunger Games series in like a week. Like, that's anything I can get my hands on.
That's only 3 books, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Hunter. I'm only on. I still have to read books 6 and 7 of Harry Potter.
You said 6 and 7?
I have to read 6 and 7. I still haven't read them yet.
Yeah. I read the first one actually just recently for the first time, like last year or something. And then when I was younger, I did read, I think, all of the third one. If not all of it, I read a good bit of it. And then I read most of Order of the Phoenix. Like, I was literally at the end. They were at the Ministry of Magic doing their big fight.
Why don't you read books in order?
I don't know.
Anyway, so as one of my favorite storylines that as actually was inspired by a video game, but borrows from the comics was the Injustice storyline. They made the video game in 2013, and then they adapted it into a comic book series talking about the time gap from when, spoiler alert, Superman kills the Joker after Joker drugs him with kryptonite-laced fear toxin, tricks him to killing Lois Lane, but having him kill Lois Lane sets off a dead man's switch that nukes Metropolis, and also kills their unborn child.
Yes, that part.
Yeah. So he had a really bad day, and you can, but it transitions in that Superman's it's almost the whole world, and the comics actually show that they get to the nitty gritty of that, and you see a lot of death and a lot of just like they pull characters from all across like DC Comics, and it kind of starts. It's kind of borderline Superman kills the DC universe, but it takes a lot. It's like a slow progress from it shows that slow progress of I'm going to kill criminals and stop tyrannical governments to I'm going to kill Shazam by lobotomizing his brain because he disagreed with me, and nuke Metropolis and Gotham City. Screw them because they don't like me as a hero, and I'm the best, and I know what I'm doing.
And honestly, this was one of those storylines that I was really thinking about, and I really wanted to bring up. And I'm glad you brought it up because now I have other things that I can bring up.
Have you read all of them?
No, I haven't been keeping up as much as I want to. I just.
What year did you stop on?
I don't know. I've been really inconsistent with them, kind of out of order. Occasionally, just reading some. I read the first. I don't know. I think in terms of the comics for Volume 1, I read up to when it was when Damian killed
Nightwing.
Yeah, Dick Grayson.
Nightwing. Yeah.
Dick Grayson.
He kills Dick Grayson, which
and then
Batman mentions in the game, which you actually see it in the storyline.
Although they do it pretty differently in Injustice 2 than they did in the comics. There were a lot less people around.
Yeah, I didn't like that retcon. Thing they did.
Wait, they didn't show it. Yeah, never mind. Yeah. They didn't show it. They mentioned it in the first one, and the second one they just took that out.
Yeah, they redid the whole instance where he's there. They had that the Arkham Asylum confrontation, and they have it where Damian just kills Victor Zsasz and to show his allegiance to Superman instead of that's actually where there was a big prison break and they were trying to contend on the superheroes and they were fighting together for a second. Then Damian accidentally kills Nightwing.
Yeah, he pushes him or kicks him or something, and then
throws a baton at his.
He falls out and breaks his neck or something, and it's that was a tough. That was a tough one.
Yeah, it was sad. I mean, it was sad. It was sad seeing how Batman responded to that death.
Well, and you can see how Damian reacts to it. He's pretty upset about it too because he did not mean to do it. He did not want to kill anybody, but
he didn't want to kill Dick Grayson. I mean, he could care less about the criminals in there.
Yeah,
but he really did care about Dick Grayson. It did scar him, and seeing how Batman reacted to him, after that, kind of furthered that divide and kept him on Superman's side. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on, like besides small character deaths where you're like, oh no, not them. There's a lantern war. There's a lot of they throw in all the magicians and the magic stuff. They even fight the Greek gods, which is wild. But it's a really fun year 1 through 5 is really fun to read, and then they also have a shorter arc of Injustice 2 leading up to after he's imprisoned and right before Injustice 2 starts.
Okay. Were there any more that take place after Injustice 2?
Nothing after Injustice 2. If they make it 3, then they'll probably do a little prequel series or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it'll be weird because of the two endings.
Yeah. But I do love I love Injustice because this is like the one of the few, if not like the only version of Superman that I actually find enjoyable. Cuz he's not he's like not Mr. Perfect and do no wrong and save everybody because everything's got to be good and just and right. He's like he loses it and he just like you see him get evil, and it's honestly, to me, it's so perfect because you can actually, if you look back at the Killing Joke, Joker proves the point with Superman that he was trying to make with Batman, or maybe it was with Jim Gordon that he was.
Yeah, it was Jim Gordon. Trying to make
that
snap.
That like anybody can go insane and just break after having one bad day.
One really
bad day. And so he kind of proves that Superman, that anybody can be just like him. And especially doing that to Superman, I think that's just wonderful. And maybe even more than Superman's whole thing in that story, it makes me appreciate how fantastic of a villain the Joker is, because like he wins, and this is a victory for the Joker. This is like his biggest victory that he could ever get, and you get to see exactly what happens when he gets his way.
He wins, and the world feels the aftermath after everything that Superman does, whether he thinks it's good when it's actually, oh dude, don't kill them,
don't kill a teenager,
don't kill all these people. But it's worth a read.
Yeah, it's great.
Do you have another storyline that you would care to discuss?
Well, you say another. You didn't have one. You didn't ask me mine yet.
Well, do you have yours? I know you said you liked to discuss mine, but what's one that you have to share?
So mine, if we're talking books, technically this is a novel adaptation of a story from a video game.
Which I prove works.
Okay. Yeah. So I would go with, I'm sure none of you are familiar with anything from the Warcraft series or the Warcraft franchise, but I'm going to go with the book Arthas, which is based mostly on Arthas's storyline from Warcraft 3. And that includes Warcraft 3, the main game, which was Reign of Chaos, and the expansion, The Frozen Throne. And so what happens in that is it's kind of like the Injustice thing with Superman, except you don't have as much history with the character when you get in there. So basically so the first two games, they're like the first two wars that are in Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2. And it's a whole thing, there's a real quick general setup is orcs are this like kind of monstrous looking race. They're not really monstrous, but they're this race from another planet. And they were a long time ago kind of corrupted by like demons. They were corrupted by demons that were after another race that crash landed on their planet, and they were corrupted, given this blood to make them really bloodthirsty and just have to kind of slaughter everyone, because even naturally they were a really war-hungry race, pretty much. And so they came over into the world of Azeroth, and they basically just kind of started fighting the humans and everything over there to kind of make way unknowingly for this big demonic invasion, this big demonic army. And as they go through like their first year, their first big war, a lot of stuff happens. Then they come back for a second war, more stuff happens, whatever. Then by the time of the third game, that's when a lot of stuff is pretty much broken, and the demons, it's called the Burning Legion at this time, and they come over and they're finally ready to really come in and take, just destroy the world, do what they've been setting up for the first two games. And to do this, there's also another character that was cast out, and because he was doing all this other stuff, he was kind of tricked by them, and he wasn't really happy with the demon army. So he was his soul was ripped from his body and then kind of thrown into this giant like iceberg, kind of a set of armor that was trapped in this like giant iceberg thing, and this giant frozen throne is what it was. And he's able to kind of telepathically communicate to all these people and build his own army called the Scourge, which is like this undead horde. So he kills people and then brings them back to life using necromantic energy. And then, he's a big threat. So he finds this, you start off with this character, Arthas, who is a paladin. He's a warrior of the light. And he's, pretty like noble and, tries to do good things. And he gets a little carried away. He's the prince, and you see him from the start try so desperately to fight this major threat to his kingdom that's just killing all his people and then turning them into monsters against the rest of his people. So it's pretty horrific. And he just, he becomes more and more desperate as he goes on, killing things, watching, people die, and then have them be brought back to fight him again. And eventually he kind of gets driven to madness by fighting this guy who's kind of been manipulated by the guy who's in the ice. And by the end of his campaign in the first game, or in the base game, he is just like, he goes out of his way. He takes a group of soldiers to this frozen land in the north to find this weapon that's supposed to be able to defeat this really big demon guy who you think is kind of leading this army. And so he finally finds this sword, but when he does, it's frozen in ice, and he has to, when he gets it, it does this thing, and a shard of ice flies out, kills like his best friend and mentor, and he's just like, oh, well, I needed it, so I don't care, whatever, okay, sucks for you. And then he goes back, he recruits all these mercenaries because he can't get to his ship, or his men are trying to leave, and he doesn't want them to, so he recruits these mercenaries to get them to burn down his ships so that his people can't leave, his army can't leave. And then when he gets back to his men, he's like, hey, guys, these mercenaries just destroyed your ships. We need to kill them. And then so he becomes so much more dark and corrupted and everything. And it's great because you see that slow build and to that really awful dark side. And then he still has more in the next, like the expansion. He's pretty much just cold and dark, and he's ruthless. He's really unfeeling, and he's kind of a servant, just doing everything for this other guy. But eventually he kind of gets there when he frees the necromancer who is trapped in ice. He's basically like, okay, cool, I did what you wanted, now I'm gonna take over. So he takes his armor and everything and kind of infuses himself with the necromancer, and it's just like, it's really well done. You can even look up some of the videos that they show, the cinematics, if you look on YouTube for them. And it's just, again, there's a lot to that whole game and the whole book, but it's fantastic. There are so many wonderful points. I wish I could talk about it a lot more. I'm not very good at, I'm not being good. I'm not good at being concise about anything. Especially something with so much content, but
You spoiled it, Hunter.
huh?
I was saying you kind of spoiled it for me.
Well, no, I didn't. There's a lot more.
No, I can't read it. No, I'm kidding.
You should.
But it seems like it's fun to watch storylines where the hero goes bad, or in Hannah's case, where the hero has to, I guess, challenges himself, or heroes have to challenge themselves, and or have to there's an alternate kind of storyline to where it's not, oh no, the big villain's coming, or it's more like, hey, let's see how you do in these puzzles and challenges. Let's see how your brain can work its way out of this situation, and see how you improve as a fighter or a person. Yeah. Hannah, did you have any manga that you wanted to recommend that have good storylines?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, I've already recommended The Promised Neverland, which is always fantastic. And if you're looking for some really fun battle scenes and honestly some interesting stories, I feel like the ones I'm thinking of don't have a ton of good guys going bad, but more the other way around. So if you're looking for some good redemption stories, I've read a lot of Fairy Tail, and that's great. And I'm assuming there's a manga for My Hero Academia, but the anime is definitely worthwhile as well.
Oh yeah.
If you're looking for some good high action battle scenes.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get people reading here. You millennials, get us millennials trying to reading here.
Yeah. I have read the entire Fairy Tail manga, and it's pretty good. Pretty good. It's a little bit silly, and a little bit very stereotypical anime where it's like, the power of friendship is what's going to help us fight the baddie, but it's uplifting and it's fun. And there's tons of characters with tons of cool powers and stuff, so it's a good time.
Well, I would also recommend, just in terms of like a whole series, I would recommend the Witcher books, because they're fantastic. I know there's the show coming out whenever. I can't remember if it's supposed to be this year or next year, but I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm also not, because it's not going to be what I picture. The games are great too. They also take a very different approach, but the books were there first, and I think they do them best. As great as the games are, I think the books definitely do The Witcher the best.
Yeah. My final recommendation would be, I've talked to a lot of people who unfortunately have seen Netflix's series of unfortunate events but have not read the books.
I do love those books. I grew up with those.
The books are so good. They're so good.
Netflix does a great job adapting them.
Yeah. But like the character author of Lemony Snicket has like this particular sense of humor and this particular way of talking about things that is just really, really fun to read. And he does things that are completely taboo in writing. He does them. So it's definitely a good time.
But, in a kid's book, nonetheless.
Yeah.
So Hannah, you got anything for next week?
Yes. So next week, I'm finally going to have my conversation about classics. What are classics? What things are classics? How do we decide what those are? And can we come to an agreement on what are some things that every human being should watch? Right? Because I would argue Star Trek. A lot of people disagree with me, so we're going to hash all that out next time.
Maybe. That's all for today, guys, girls, people. Hope you guys have a great week. Remember, the ends don't always justify the means. We'll hear from y'all next time.